Hey everyone! Many of you have already seen our video about the legendary Willys Jeep, the symbol of the U.S. Army and the true king of off-road. But on the other side of the front, there was another hero. A car that looked strange, clumsy, and weak at first glance. Soldiers even nicknamed it the bathtub on wheels. It had no four-wheel drive, and its engine was only half as powerful as the Jeep's. And yet, it went through the entire war, from the snows of the Eastern Front to the sands of Africa. The troops loved it, and even the Allies respectfully called it the German Jeep. But is it true that just 2 or 3 soldiers could lift it out of the mud by hand? It sounds impossible, but it wasn't. Let's find out why. Today, we're diving into the story of the Volkswagen Kübelwagen. How did a people's car become a war machine? What was the secret to its incredible off-road performance? And could it really stand up to the mighty American Jeep? Settle in, because you won't want to miss this. Our story doesn't begin on the battlefield. It starts in the offices of the Third Reich. In the late 1930s, Adolf Hitler promised the German people a miracle, a people's car that every family could afford. The task was given to a brilliant engineer, Ferdinand Porsche. Millions of Germans began saving money, dreaming of owning their first car. But instead of turning into Beetles, their savings turned into tanks, planes, and military vehicles. The huge factory built in Wolfsburg, originally meant to produce peaceful bugs, was almost immediately converted for war. In January 1938, the Army gave Porsche a new mission: to design a light, durable, and inexpensive military car. By the fall, the first prototype appeared, the Type 62, sent for field tests during the Polish campaign in 1939. The prototype showed promise, but had a weak engine and fragile design. After several upgrades came the Type 82 Kübelwagen, simple, light, and surprisingly tough. A vehicle that would become the true workhorse of the German army. Why Kübelwagen? The name comes from the German Kübelsitzwagen, meaning bucket seat car. Its angular steel body, stamped from simple metal panels like the household tubs of the era, and its deep seats that kept soldiers from falling out on rough terrain, earned it the nickname, the bathtub on wheels. At first glance, the Kübelwagen looked plain and almost crude. But that simplicity hid some brilliant engineering. Secret number 1, phenomenal lightness. The Kübelwagen weighed only 715 kilograms, almost 400 kilograms lighter than the American Jeep. 4 hands, and it's back on the road. If it got stuck in the mud, 2 or 3 men could literally lift it and carry it out. It also had a completely flat underbody. Where other vehicles caught on axles and gearboxes, the Kübel just slid over the mud like a sled. Secret number 2, a tough heart. Unlike the Jeep, the Kübelwagen's engine was mounted in the rear, right above the driving wheels, great for traction. And it was air-cooled, meaning no radiator to freeze on the Eastern Front or boil over in the African heat. Yes, the engine was small, 23 horsepower at first, later 25, but it was so simple and reliable that mechanics could repair it right in the field. Secret number 3, efficiency and clever tricks. It was only rear-wheel drive, which sounds like a disadvantage, but German engineers compensated with smart design tweaks. Portal gear hubs that raised the body and gave it a ground clearance of about 29 centimeters. A self-locking differential that kept one wheel from spinning uselessly in the mud. Thanks to these solutions, the Kübelwagen could reach 80 kilometers per hour, despite its modest power. And it was remarkably efficient for its time, consuming just 9 liters per 100 kilometers. It could travel over 400 kilometers on a single tank. That's not all. Its front and rear doors opened in opposite directions, so soldiers could jump out quickly in combat. Many vehicles carried mounts for an MG-34 or MG-42 machine gun, turning the car into a mobile firing point. And for different battlefields, there were custom upgrades, wide balloon tires for the sands of North Africa, and even special rail wheels for patrolling train tracks. And now, the big question. Which one was better, the Jeep Willys or the Kübelwagen? Interestingly, the answer came from the Americans themselves. They thoroughly tested captured Kübelwagens and were so impressed that they issued an official field manual for U.S. troops on how to operate them. And what did that manual say? It has no four-wheel drive, but you'll be surprised by its off-road performance. The report also noted that while the German car wasn't as powerful or as capable in deep mud as the Jeep, it had excellent handling, a comfortable suspension, and an extremely easy-to-service engine. Let's look at it objectively. The American Jeep Willys, a legend, the true symbol of American muscle. A 60-horsepower engine, full-time 4x4, able to tow light artillery and push through terrain where others wouldn't even try. The German Kübelwagen, a masterpiece of engineering simplicity. Only 25 horsepower and rear-wheel drive. But it was almost twice as light and twice as fuel efficient. So who was better? If you needed to tow a cannon or climb a steep hill head-on, the Jeep won every time. But for long reconnaissance missions, quick maneuvers, and comfort on rough roads, the Kübelwagen often came out ahead. Its independent suspension was far smoother than the Jeep's bouncy leaf springs, making it surprisingly pleasant to drive. It's no wonder that American and British troops, whenever they captured a Kübelwagen, were happy to use it themselves. Even Erwin Rommel, the Desert Fox, chose a Kübelwagen as his command car for fast inspections across the African front. So in this round, the Jeep wins with raw power, but the Kübelwagen answers back with clever engineering. But the story wouldn't be complete without the Kübelwagen's incredible siblings. The most famous of them was the Volkswagen Type 166, better known as the Schwimmwagen, the swimming car. It was a fully functional amphibious vehicle with a watertight, boat-shaped hull and a retractable, three-bladed propeller at the back that allowed it to move through water at up to 10 kilometers per hour. But the real genius was in how it got back onto land. On first and reverse gear, it engaged four-wheel drive, letting it climb out of rivers and up muddy or steep banks with ease. More than 14,000 of these were built, making the Schwimmwagen the most produced amphibious car in history. And then there was the Type 87 Kommandierwagen, an even rarer sibling. Imagine this, the rugged chassis and 4x4 system of a Kübelwagen, topped with the familiar curved body of a civilian Beetle. A true all-wheel drive Beetle, designed for high-ranking Wehrmacht officers. Only a few hundred were ever built, and today it's one of the rarest and most valuable Volkswagens in the world. All of this proves one thing, even though the original Kübelwagen was simple. German engineers worked tirelessly to turn it into a universal platform for war. Over the course of the war, more than 50,000 Kübelwagens were built. But was it a perfect car? Not quite. Its biggest weakness was the lack of power. Just 25 horsepower. Drivers often had to push the little engine to its limits, which led to overheating. And that famously comfortable suspension? It turned out to be too delicate for the brutal conditions of the Eastern Front, where it often broke down. Still, despite its flaws, the Kübelwagen became the true workhorse of the Wehrmacht, and its story didn't end with the war. In the 1960s, the ideas behind the Kübelwagen were reborn in its civilian successor, the Volkswagen Type 181, which became a cult classic in the U.S. under the name The Thing. Today, Kübelwagens can be found in museums, private collections, and historical reenactments. And the Schwimmwagen, that incredible amphibious version, is still considered a technical marvel of its time. So coming back to our main question, Jeep or Kübelwagen? The Jeep was undoubtedly the winner in raw strength. But the Kübelwagen earned its place in history by accomplishing the same missions in a completely different way. Not with power or four-wheel drive, but with lightness, simplicity, and clever engineering. This car reminds us that victory doesn't always belong to the strongest. Sometimes, it's ingenuity that changes history. Each had its own role to play, and together, they forever changed the face of war, becoming true legends of the 20th century. What do you think? Which one was the better machine for its time, the powerful Jeep or the clever Kübelwagen? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more incredible car histories. Thanks for watching.